Welcome to the Millionaire Journey Podcast. The goal of this podcast is to guide and empower you on your journey towards financial independence. Here's your host, Len Yaney.
Today, my guest is Chad Freeman with Bright Harbor Homes. Welcome, Chad.
Hey, thanks. It's nice to be here.
Awesome. So I found Chad on LinkedIn, lots of mobile home park investing, and wanted to get you on. And if you could, just tell us a little bit about your story to financial freedom.
So I was indoctrinated with airlines and real estate at the same time. Growing up, both my parents were in real estate. My dad was an airline pilot. So took the short path into the airlines knowing I wanted to go into real estate because airlines are terribly unstable.
Yeah.
And my first job, I got furloughed within a year of having my first job because of 9/11. So I knew right away I needed some sort of backup plan, and that's what got me interested in real estate from even before college. And then it took me a little bit. I was more focused on flying, but pulled the trigger in 2005 on my first, we'll call it investment.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call it an investment today, but
What did it look like? What did that look like, that investment?
Elizabeth, New Jersey, terrible high crime area. I thought I was going to make a bunch of money because there was some rumor of a ferry going into Manhattan nearby on the waterfront. And it was just a rumor from the realtor. Nothing ever happened. There's still no ferry there.
Yeah.
And I learned about cap rates and trying to cash flow this place. What a terrible investment I had made with zero diligence. And I got an education, sold that place, got into better real estate after that. So I found a lot of value in solid coaching and solid education. It's something that I would like to do, is teach more people on entry level how to not make the mistakes that I made going into it.
Yeah. So I can relate to a story that it was a condo in the middle of the hood, and it was a brand new construction condo, but it got pummeled by the recession, and they ended up, the guy that was selling it, he had a portfolio of 10 condos inside this. I don't know what his angle was, but you could tell that there was an angle. He was making some money somehow. And I always have this joke anytime I see a house in the hood, somebody tells me about it. And his big line was, "These homes are on the widest part of the river, of the Hillsborough River." And I showed it to my friend who managed 350 condos at the time, and he was just like, that thing is a piece of crap. And they were selling for $30,000 a piece in Tampa, which sounds cheap. You get out there and it's it's like a war zone.
Okay, so it was cheap.
Yeah, it was cheap for a reason. But so how did you get into mobile home investing?
So I learned enough to make profit instead of a loss.
Well, that's always a good lesson to learn.
Yeah, I held on to stuff, and then my now business partner, I've been around his family since junior high. So I walked into his mom's house and I was talking to her. His parents are pretty prudent with their money, both in real estate and investing. And she had this mobile home park boot camp manual sitting on her table. And I'm like, hey, what's that? So that was my entry into mobile home parks. It's Frank Rolf's boot camp, which everybody's taken Frank Rolf's boot camp. And I love that guy. So he taught me enough to get in and get started and then be able to think for myself. But I still refer to Frank and call him a couple times a year. And he's a hell of a good resource for anybody wanting education on mobile home parks.
He's like one of the biggest private park owners in the world, isn't he? Or in the country?
Yeah, they're the fifth largest.
Yeah. How many units do they have? Do you know?
They sold a ton of them.
Yeah.
And then they and then they sold off a bunch of just the stuff that wasn't prime stuff, I think, it's from what I gather. And the last I heard, they were at 24,000 lots like that, and then just being selective on what they buy. So I don't know what this year holds for Frank, because to me, it looks like time to buy.
Yeah. I could tell when seller financing starts to become more likely and people are making more sense with the pricing, it definitely seems like right now is starting to get easier to buy mobile home parks to make sense, for sure, compared to paying $100,000 a pad.
Oh, yeah.
So what location do you buy mobile home parks in?
Right now, we're only in Michigan, but I'm super interested in Texas. I live half my life in Dallas. We're doing a ton of stuff in Texas right now. It's really exciting to learn what we're learning in Texas and the Southwest as well. So I I spent half my time in Jacksonville, Florida. So I'm a little leery about hurricanes.
Yeah.
Mobile homes within 30 miles of the coast or so.
Uh-huh.
But our focus is on Texas and the Midwest for mobile home parks, especially around St. Louis and, just the triangle that you see from Dallas to Houston, Austin, San Antonio. Right in there is where we really want to focus.
Yeah, so we buy our mobile home parks in Florida. We just got pummeled a little bit by both hurricanes because we're in Tampa. And I would say that the one thing I would say about hurricanes, because people are out of state would always say, "What about the hurricanes?" And I've heard people worried about hurricanes that have apartments, and apartments are like, if they're block structure, you're gonna or block or I mean, really, if you're like a wood, the biggest issue you'll have is a roof, and the other issue, what I would say from my experience is there's um, coastal parks. We have a couple of them, and those were the ones that took a little bit more beating, and then also inland flooding. So we had if you look at what happens to houses during hurricanes, the same thing happens to mobile homes. It's not like anything different, and a lot of the mobile homes that we own are like 1980, 1970. So they've been there for like 50 years, you know? So you got to think they've been through 50 years of storms. So there's a few roofs that got ripped off, as in like peeled back like a can opener. But with the roofs, they get fixed. I mean, we fixed them all within a week or two. We had
Nice.
one tree saw through a mobile home that was still fixed within a week. It's the inland flooding that I would say is the biggest thing to watch out for. We had one park, it took on about 8 feet of water and it stayed
Whoa.
8 feet for 3 weeks. So it was pretty brutal. Yeah, that was something not to be planned for. They lowered the dam, and when they lowered the dam, they couldn't get the dam to close, I guess, after it was lowered because so much water was coming in, and it just maintained for 3 weeks after that. So that when you hear hurricanes, these are the things to watch out for. It's not so much the wind that you have to worry about; it's the inland flooding is what I would say the biggest. Yeah,
So what happened to your insurance after that?
I mean, insurance. There's no insurance because we generally have general liability.
That's what I've heard too.
Yeah.
It's not a concern for you?
Well, it's general liability. So the mobile homes are the residents, and what happens with the certain kind of structure. So say we sell everything off the mobile homes, and we just have lot rents, and the mobile homes are 1970, 1980. You kind of become the insurance company of the mobile home park.
Mm-hmm.
But we have a lot of construction guys that work for us, and there's some work that we assist or we charge back. So if we had to replace a roof for somebody that might not have the funds, because generally it's affordable housing, so there's people that might not have the funds. They'll put a tarp on the roof, which is really not okay with us because it makes the park look terrible. So we'll go through and we'll fix the roof for them, and we'll work out some financing terms to say, hey, we'll put a new roof on for you, but you just got to pay us back in 12 months or whatever the case be. So if it's a $3,000 roof, is usually what it cost us. It would, it'd be about $200 to $300 a month. Or if it was something they really couldn't afford, we would just stretch out the payments. But at least we're kind of recapturing the expenses after we spend it. And then trees, we kind of the hard part with trees is that it's kind of on us because the trees are ours to take care of. So
Really expensive.
the one tree that fell through the mobile home, there was a complaint. Like they said, that tree's not, they want, everybody wants you to cut down the trees right before a hurricane. And you're like, you can't do that, So we cut the one tree, somebody did complain about this tree. And luckily they weren't in the home when it happened, but it sawed the home right in half, like butter. And, but
Those trees, they worry me too. We have lots of trees in Michigan.
yeah,
They're expensive and they fall in people's homes and nobody's ever been injured, but we've had a few times where people could have been injured.
yeah. And then the branches spear through the roofs, they can be, you definitely want to take care of the trees. You want to have CapEx for the trees, but,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, so that we're just recovering over that. It wasn't my house personally got flooded in Helene, and then Milton came through and then flooded. some not inland parks, but it went straight through the center state of Florida, which is kind of where all of our parks are. So it was the big. I'll actually tell you the biggest expense that we ran into that you don't think of is electric poles, because everything from the street in is your responsibility for electric poles. And when a tree falls down on the power line, they dig down 2 or 3 poles. So it was like 2 to 3,000 easily for each pole that gets knocked down. It's sometimes 5,000. So it was like every day for two months, I'm writing a check for $1,500, half deposit, half for the finished work. And it's something I don't want to do again.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought of that.
Yeah.
Another reason that hurricanes scare me.
Yeah. I would say that electric poles were probably the most expensive part about the hurricanes. I mean, the inland flooding, luckily that was an RV park that took on 8 feet for 3 weeks. So most of the RVs yanked out or pulled out. And then we had about 3 or 4 people that were in evictions. So it kind of was a biblical flood that washed away the sin. And we got rid of all of our bad tenants through it. But not the way I'd like to do it, but it's just what the benefit, of what happened. It's just not exactly the way I'd want to do it at all. So
yeah, I can understand that.
yeah.
Do you have any parks with buried power lines?
Let me think. Yeah, I mean, not really. So the power lines are buried up to the pole from the mobile home, but from the street in, it's a power line. So everything is underground.
Everything's underground, so it might be nice in Florida like that.
Yeah, in Michigan.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be? Don't they worry about the ground freezing? That doesn't affect it.
And not for the electrical.
Okay.
You don't worry about it for sewer because it's kind of self-heating.
Yeah.
So, but the water lines, we got to dig down, I think 38 inches or something. I forget.
So let's talk about Bright Harbor Homes. I know that you said that you were getting into. So you pivoted from what made you pivot from mobile homes to switching over to more single family home investing?
Going through divorce.
Yeah. All right. So you're rebuilding the portfolio, and what does Bright Harbor Homes do?
We got in with the intent to flip some homes on the side, and then quickly realized that there's a lot of really fantastic opportunity, just like in mobile home parks, that I just hadn't messed with before. And my better half she's doing a startup, Bright Harbor. So this is more of Jennifer's baby than mine, but it's really ours. And so it gave me something to put energy into where I was stuck before. So it's been a fantastic learning opportunity for me. And we're doing a lot more cycles in front of people, learning a lot better negotiations. And then we have really cool coaches. I found some great value in education and coaching along the years since 2005 that really helped shortcut me. And I made my fair share of mistakes on my own, doing stupid stuff, losing money here and there. But the quality coaching is just for anybody. It's so important. And so we're getting a lot of education out of it, and a lot more cycles that I think is going to help me get right back in with more cycles in front of mobile home park, mom and pops, and sellers, and just help everything out overall. So I'm really excited about it.
Hey guys, if you want to learn more about our deals we're investing in, go to our website and sign up for our free ebook, 10 Reasons Mobile Home Parks Outperform Other Real Estate Investments. We won't spam you. We'll just keep you updated on the podcast and the deals we're working on. Now, back to the show. Yeah, so I have a theory on the single family homes investing, and I could tell you that I'm in a mastermind group, and I didn't really want to join the mastermind group at first because it was like everybody was flipping houses, and I'm like, I'm in mobile homes. What am I going to do with a bunch of wholesalers and flippers? And I could tell you that when you're a single family home investor, it becomes like a whole nother world of creativity. There's so many ways, and you could do it with mobile homes, but I would say that there's if you can make it happen with single family homes, it's like you can pretty much, as long as you offer good services and good returns, you'll have investors that will follow you into whatever you're doing. And that was the one thing I actually got from this mastermind group is, we started raising money and we bought like these, we bought what we ended up, a lot of single family home investors has figured out the way to give returns and still take a lot of the equity is what I've seen. And I kind
Mhm.
of thought that for myself. And I'll tell you real quick, this would be like me talking about myself the whole time, but what I
It's all good.
learned is that I like have been reflecting a lot the past month because there's a lot of we bought 108 units on our own with investor capital, but between three partners. And what I have learned, the difference between buying properties on my own and buying syndication is that in syndications, you're able to pre-fund the capex. And when you buy properties
Yeah.
on your own, you are pretty much funding it with your cash flow. So instead of growing, like we could have syndicated it and it would have actually made us grow faster and we would have probably made more money. Even though you think like you own 108 units, it's like, but all your future cash flow goes into this 108 units compared to, say, syndicating 108 units, pre-raising the capital for the capex, and then you can go out and buy more properties, and you kind of get what I've the bigger you get, the more qualified people you can have work for you because of the revenues that you're pulling in. So there's a healthy balance, I would say, and I've seen people do it both ways, where they syndicate and they buy properties on their own. But uh, I've actually seen like my growth of income will probably be, uh, I would say, about break even with a lot more brain damage. And you would think buying more units would add more brain damage, but because you're able to hire more qualified people to manage these things for you, you're able to grow faster and you can grow with less problems. If we didn't have 650 units, we wouldn't be able to have a fractional CFO. We wouldn't be able to have 5 or 6 girls in the office managing the calls or leasing and all that stuff. It's like I would probably have had do it myself, so that was the whole learning lesson from
Yeah,
that.
it's too much. And I can speak to a lot of this. I feel like I'm
Sure,
qualified for
definitely.
when I started education. I tried to do a lot more than I could handle myself, a bit off more than I could chew. I put the right people in the wrong spot,
Yeah,
and I made a lot of mistakes, but I learned so much that I know round two is going to go a hell of a lot better. And I can also speak on how to protect yourself as an investor. I have a good friend of mine, one of our favorite investors as well, and they got burned everywhere with syndicators except for us. And what I think I've learned from that is we had cash flowing assets backing us up
yeah,
and we're already operating and we had a track record. Then we failed to deploy capital, but we were able to return all their money with the interest we promised. And he told me, "You're the only person that didn't lose my money." They had a bunch of so
yeah,
be very careful, vet your syndicators. And I'd say if you're going with somebody that doesn't already have experience in the industry with assets that are backing them up, be really careful with that.
yeah,
So most people didn't vet us at all. They did zero diligence. They just handed us money, which tells me people invest in the person. They're not worried about the deal. They believe in you, right?
yeah.
So protect your investors' money and make sure you got something to back you up with besides your personal finances. But
So when you say
the
that,
per-
what do you mean by that? Besides your personal finances?
well, like you were talking about, you bought those lots on your own. We bought 200 lots on our own,
Yeah,
and that's what feeding the syndication. So it was cash flowing. I wasn't worried about my paycheck decreasing because I screwed up the syndication. It was all backed up by assets that are cash flowing that generate profit, right?
yep, yep,
And that's where everything came from, including the profit that we paid back. So
definitely.
my point there is to be very careful. But then you were talking about a syndication versus a private investment, and that's huge because apparently everybody did what you did. I did it, where you
Yeah,
kind of underfund with your own capital.
yeah,
And if you run the numbers and you get a syndication and you go fix everything right off the bat,
yep,
the returns are better,
yep.
way better than trying to take the cash flow and feed it and self-generate the capex. That sucks. But I made that mistake too.
Yeah, so on top of to circle back, I could tell you it was a perfect storm. The Milton and Helene, we bought these 108 units and have 12 units on my own, private, like no partners. It's the only parks I own by myself, and they generate pretty good revenue, and it pays a lot of my expenses. And that was kind of the way I left my W-2. And uh, during the hurricane, the duplex got flooded, and all the other homes got flooded as well. But they were all lot rent, so they continued to pay rent. Almost none of them. I had to file. There was a few that I had to evict already before the hurricane, but I pretty much, because of the hurricane and a few people, it was a lot of, like, a perfect storm. There was one lady that lived in a double wide that died, not from the hurricane, but just through natural causes, I believe. And then there was another one that I had been in evictions for a year. And so these two, and they're both double wide, so they're very expensive renovations. I lost that, and I had the duplex flood with no flood insurance. It just doesn't make sense. Well, maybe it does make sense to get flood insurance now, but what what I would say is that I literally look back at all the expenses because I had to do certain things, and it was like $80,000 in like 5 months on a 12 unit park. So you're thinking,
Oh, that hurts.
you're not going to make that back for a long time. But at the same time, it's capex, tax advantage, and all that stuff that goes with it. But it's like that 80,000 would have been gladly been spent into new deals. But because I
Mhm.
was 100% owner, and also uh, all my eggs in really one basket. Not all of them. I have a lot of syndications, but that's what kept me afloat. But I would say that because of that, it made it to where I spent $80,000 in like 5 or 6 months. So it's kind of like that on top of buying 108 units on top of that with three other partners. It's pretty much all of our cash flow goes to that. It turned into where I'm spending all my income from this, and then all my income in my personal park, and it's been a lot of fun, is what I would say. A lot of learning, a lot of, all is good. All the parks have actually turned all of them around, and I would say that in about 2 to 3
Nice.
months we'll be cash flow positive. But it's things you don't hear about when you read the books.
That's the stuff I love to talk about. I love to hear about
Yeah,
you know, you see the gurus and it's all glamour and dollars everywhere and private jets, but that's not reality. That's like at the end of the day, after all the work's done and after all the shit that nobody wants to do,
yeah,
then yeah, you're getting paid. And the more stuff you do that other people aren't willing to do, the more you can get paid, right?
yeah,
But there's a lot of pitfalls and stuff along the way that you got to figure out.
yeah, definitely. I mean, those were like, I guess if you're looking back, there's a couple lessons learned. One was, not that I love those 12 units and they pay for my expenses, so it's not like I would sell them. There's a ton of equity in them, so it's sometimes I think about selling them, but the the yield on equity is, uh, I couldn't replace it. But anyways, but the theory behind that is just that, on top of that, buying all these the portfolio of 108 units, it's like it just added an extra layer. But the syndication. So the thing is, you couldn't have syndicated the 12 units. So if I would have syndicated 12 units, that would have been a cash call, which is like the number one thing you never want to do, is to
Right.
ask your investors for more money. But if you go out and buy 60 units at a time, that's when it turns into, you can pre-fund it, and if something does happen, you have 60 units of revenue. So it's kind of like,
Yeah,
uh,
that's
that's why the institutions look for 100 units or more of mobile home parks.
yeah, we want that 100 unit threshold. 82 is what I've got. I'd really like to get 300 or more. They're getting in short supply. And then with Bright Harbor too, the intention is to end with commercial, because to me, if you're doing it correctly, all roads lead into commercial or end into commercial,
What's the definition of commercial? Like, what would you say?
not residential. Like
Like,
bigger, everything we do on the single family side can apply right into the commercial world. Wholesaling, flipping,
yes,
turnaround, buy and hold for wealth generation. It's all the same with bigger numbers. You just add zeros.
awesome. So, uh, what would be one thing that you've learned through starting with buying single family homes that you didn't have before, and building your new foundation at, where, like, what is the main thing that you like, the lesson that keeps being repeated to you currently?
Here's a couple big ones. The huge one is it's not about the deal, it's about the people.
Makes sense.
It's all about relationships. The deals don't matter. It's the people. That's where you get all the deals from. The people are the deals.
Yeah.
And I was too focused on the deal and to ignore the people behind it before. And I think it cost me deals that way too.
I saw a quote the other day. It said, you can have a bad operator ruin a good deal and a good operator, or a bad deal with a good operator make a good deal or something like that. It was like something along those lines.
Yeah.
And that definitely, it's like I've had recent scenarios myself as well. It's like if you buy a good deal, like right now, I would say the property that we have that took 8 feet of water, that might not be the best deal you want. But it's like, how do I make myself a good operator to execute on this to turn it around? Like, yeah, it's not a good idea. We want to sell the park, but it's like, how do I make it to where it's something that somebody wants to buy? I don't want to sell it as is with it vacant, So we actually, you know, through being in the business, we found a bunch of park models, and we're starting to fill up the RV spots with park models on the high parts of the property,
Nice.
and turning that around, getting the income up, and making it more of like a destination type park, because it's still on the river. It's a beautiful river. You could take canoes out there, and but at the same time, it's like, how do we make this place look better, produce better
Yeah.
revenues?
Some of that. I'm seeing more stuff from the tiny homes, which to me don't work in a mobile home park because there's no HUD sticker, right? So if we can get that HUD seal or something, and then tiny homes are too tiny. You can't put a king size bed and raise a family in a tiny home. They're like 638 square feet, I think, right? But now I'm seeing mobile homes in disguise as tiny homes that aren't really tiny homes anymore, that are getting bigger spaces,
Yeah.
better outdoor spaces, bigger rooms that are going to compete, I think, with mobile homes. And man, we really need it. We need
Yeah.
some good porches, elevations, rooftop spaces, whatever. So my theory or prediction is that more of these are going to start up to try to disrupt, and then people like, Clayton is just going to eat it. I don't see Clayton just sitting around on the sidelines going out of business while they get disrupted, right?
No, they'll
Or
add more park models. Yeah.
But yeah, something. We need something. And then that could really boost the mobile home parks back to their glory day, I think, like they started off with, And mobile homes are ugly and people hate them and they're all over the place where everybody doesn't want them. They're old and run down. And to get some new form of affordable housing that's an automated build and stuff, I think it's coming. And when it's going to be really cool when it gets here.
Yeah. So for the listeners that don't know what a park model is, I'm told, okay, so a park model is an RV. When you go inside, it's a little bit smaller than a mobile home. I'm told that they're no wider than 14 feet and they're no longer than 40 feet. So if you look at, and it really with the park model, it could be transported down the road. And that's the main reason why, one of the reasons why it's considered an RV. So they kind of found like a loophole of making RV look like a mobile home. And we just bought like 7 of them
Oh,
to fill up all of our RV spots, because the RV business is like it's a different business model than mobile homes. But you can take all these park models as long as they're right size for the spots, and fill up all the RV spots with the park models.
I'm curious. We have a seasonal campground. So it's
Yeah.
7 RV spots, but it's seasonal. So it's
Yeah. So I've seen there's been a few operators. I think his name's Xander Kemp is the one guy that I know that I had on my podcast. But he will put these park models, or they'll put these Airstreams, because they kind of look like the good Instagram type look to them, and he'll do like an Airbnb inside of them. So you get to like they'll go out to like in the middle of like the woods, a forest type or the desert and stuff like that, and just have good hiking trails around it. So then they'll add all these Airstreams, and then they'll rent them out as like Airbnb. And I was kind of thinking that for what we're doing, there's a part of me that says we're putting all these park models in there. All we have to do, because it's small, so all you have to do is put a bed and a couch, and you have an Airbnb. Stock it with whatever, a little bit of condiments and stuff like that, and
yeah,
it's on the river. So I was thinking that we might do that, but it's another business. So it's kind of like that's been my main thing recently, is like, how focused do I want to be on my current, niche? And there's also the other thing, kind of like with what you're doing, is that I think sometimes maybe I should hang out with more wholesalers and learn how to get better deal flow. Be able to get the deal flow, because those guys, Garrett Terrell, he was just on my podcast. He's a big, he actually was a single family home flipper, and then he turned to wholesale, and now he wholesales mobile home parks, and now
Nice.
he's tearing it up in Alabama. So it's kind of like, it's like they kind of carry over. Once you get the single family home thing down, it's like you can totally leverage that skill to go into the next level.
Oh yeah. That's why I'm so happy, like so excited about the education we're learning. So what we're doing is we just figured out like the bottom of the pit gold mine for lead generation with data.
Yeah.
We have automatic data scraping off the county websites, and we're doing distressed sellers for foreclosures. So like we know before the homeowner knows. It's super awesome.
Wow.
So I got great skills with, figuring out lead generation, and then just putting together another business and seeing how all the systems, how we're building everything that we've kind of brought over from the mobile home park world. It's overlapping everywhere. It's not, I thought I knew what I was doing enough to go flip a home, and I'm losing 30 grand on my first home flip. So
Yeah.
like there's a ton of stuff I didn't know. So I love learning though. And then all of this stuff is going to be so applicable with mobile home parks. And like I said, the cycles we're doing a deep dive into Chris Voss, Never Split the Difference, and getting great coaching on that. And putting ourselves into this like super high stress environment. So these cycles, it's like this is applicable for life with raising my daughter and healthy conflict at home and relationships and friends and family. And it's just really cool stuff with a lot of deep psychology behind it. And I'm enjoying it a lot.
Awesome. So, where can people find you?
BrightHarborHomes.com. If you want to get a hold of me personally, email is probably best. Chad@BrightHarborHomes.com or Chad@MHPBuyers.com. That's a good one too. If you want to just only talk about mobile home parks.
Definitely. And I follow you on LinkedIn. I've seen a lot of your posts and enjoy it. And I appreciate you coming on.
Sure thing. I try to have fun with those. I don't know what people think of them overall, but I like hearing some feedback. So.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely reach out, and look forward to talking to you again.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was nice.
Thank you for listening to the Millionaire Journey podcast. Please rate, like, subscribe, leave a comment, and share with somebody you think would enjoy listening.